Welcome to another episode of Royally Rumbled. I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
How you doing today, Robert?
I am here. Present and accounted for.
We just finished watching AEW. This is Battle for the Crown, Week 4, Episode 34 of the Royally Rumbled podcast.
Look how we did that. That was perfect.
I know. It just lined up so well.
And stay tuned at the end of this episode for an announcement about next week's episode.
Ooh.
That's called a tease.
But before we get to our announcement, let's discuss NXT right now.
NXT let off hot with a huge match that we were highly anticipating. Rhea Ripley taking on Bianca Belair.
This match had good chemistry. It had a good stalemate to start. They were going back and forth and just kind of breaking even, which I liked.
Yeah, the tests of strength were a lot of fun to watch.
Because you don't normally get that dynamic in women's matches.
No.
It was a really technical match. It really surprised me. It had believable counters, and it was just a well-structured match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I liked how Belair was dominant for some of the match. I really enjoyed when she locked in that abdominal stretch on Rhea. That's not a move that you see very often, but it worked the way that she was pulling it back on her.
Yeah, I like that Bianca worked the ribs in the back that whole match, and they called out Rhea's injury from CrossFit when she had her in that abdominal stretch.
I also enjoyed Belair's constant, desperate pin attempts.
Yes.
Because I felt like the psychology was that if I don't put her away quick, I'm not going to put her away.
Yeah, and I like that Rhea didn't fully lock in her submission. They teased it. She almost had her wrist underneath the foot and ankle of Belair, but didn't quite lock it in right. So Belair was able to make it to the ropes before that happened.
Yeah. There was also that massive kick out of the air that Ripley did.
Oof.
That was probably my favorite spot of the entire match. I jumped up out of my seat when she kicked her.
Yeah, it looked gnarly. But we were talking during the match, and you had texted me saying what you'd do and how you'd book the match.
Yeah, I just figured, you don't want to give either of these women a clean loss, in my opinion, especially in their first matchup against one another. So my thought process was to have an interference and then have a counter interference and then have a counter interference. Setting up what we had talked about last week was hopefully a women's War Games match. So kind of going to that end. And then what happened?
That exact thing. Almost, at least.
Almost. It was almost word for word what we had said to each other.
But yeah, I liked it. I liked it all. It was a really fun match. It was a fun finish. And I'm really glad to see Io Shirai again.
The next match was Matt Riddle, who I was surprised to see just getting a random singles match here, taking on Cameron Grimes, who I groaned at the sight of.
Yeah, we basically had the same reaction. This was Matt Riddle's first match back after his championship match against Adam Cole. And it was a good match. It was really good. It took me by surprise.
It was, honestly, because, Grimes' last, 4 matches or something like that on TV have all ended instantly with that stomp thing that he does. And he went for it again, obviously, but Riddle ducked out of it, and then he ducked Riddle's move, so they kind of stalemated one another and then got into what started off as a very good amateur wrestling mat-based match.
Absolutely, the mat wrestling in that opening sequence was really good, which I didn't peg Cameron Grimes the type of person to be able to kind of trade holds with someone like Matt Riddle.
No, not at all.
But he did, and it looked believable.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed that part of the match a lot. I thought it was great.
And then Riddle just kind of took over and hit a jackhammer.
He hit a jackhammer.
Which popped me out of my chair.
Yep, and Moro's call of the jackhammer was fantastic.
Yeah. They've got to wrestle, dude, right?
I don't think that he gets approval to do a jackhammer if they're not setting something up, hopefully.
The next Crown Jewel event. Matt Riddle versus Goldberg.
I'd watch it. I don't care.
I don't know if Goldberg would want to do anything other than a squash match in that situation.
No, yeah, because Riddle will run circles around him in a ring. So.
Yeah.
It wouldn't behoove Goldberg to get that match, but I'd still think it'd be interesting to see.
Imagine Riddle like powerbombing him and like throwing him up for like the knees and stuff.
Yeah, he did the
Goldberg would fall apart.
Yeah, his patented powerbomb knee strike and then German suplex into the pin. Yeah, Goldberg will stand up to that for sure. That'll be more bumps than he's probably ever taken.
Speaking of German suplexes, how about that beautiful one by Cameron Grimes?
Yes. There were a lot of, in this match, there were a lot of really good German suplexes.
Mm-hmm. And strikes. They had that crazy back and forth towards the end.
Yes.
I thought it was a great finish. It was a fun match. They built up towards that ending. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. The move that Riddle is calling the Bro Derek, which is just like whatever. So he put Grimes away with that, and I for whatever reason I thought that was Grimes' first loss with just how he's been pushed, but that is not true, obviously, because he did not win the breakout tournament.
Yeah, he made it to the finals and wrestled ACH, who is going by Jordan Miles now in WWE, which we haven't seen him.
No, since he won.
No. So I'm still waiting for him to get his championship opportunity. Hopefully it wasn't like at a live event.
And they're like, oh yeah, it's done. Oh my God. Yeah, so that match was really good. A lot of crazy spots, but I think especially in doing this version of our podcast, I've grown to very much appreciate Matt Riddle's work, and he might be my favorite person in NXT right now.
Huh.
We haven't seen Velveteen Dream on TV since NXT fully launched on USA when we started this version of our podcast. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh yeah, Velveteen's my favorite guy on the NXT roster when we've seen him do a couple promos and get laid out in the back. So hopefully they're just saving him.
Let's talk about Swerve Scott and Breezango versus the Forgotten Sons.
So for the second match in a row, Breezango have come out as a different blue-collar worker. I don't know if they're doing are they doing the Village People?
I just think they're going to come out in a different profession, like sexy profession each time.
Right, yeah, they're doing like a male stripper thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last time it was the construction workers with the tool belts with no tools. And this week it was the pilot. They were like Top Gun. And I could not stop laughing. Could not. Fandango absolutely kills me. He did not stop gyrating his hips until the bell rang, basically.
The whole time.
The whole time, dude. The whole time. And I was hysterical laughing the entire time.
Even during Isaiah Swerve Scott's entrance, he was doing it.
To his song. Yes. Yes. I was dying. It was amazing. And then the Forgotten Sons, who had Jackson Riker in the match instead of standing on the outside of the ring, and who, when he gets into a ring in his ring gear, is a terrifying human being.
He's gigantic.
He's enormous, dude. Really freaked me out. Like, I was like, oh my God, I forgot how big this guy was.
But it was a really nicely built tag team match.
Yeah.
Each spot, like, built to something. Tyler Breeze making a tag into Fandango, be it Swerve Scott trying to tear down the big man. Like, everything meant something in this match. There was nothing that I thought pulled me out of it.
And I liked Forgotten Sons, like, triple offense that they were getting in. Because it's not just double teams. They involve the entire trio in moves with one another.
Yeah, they operate like a team and like a unit.
But I think everybody got great offense in, no doubt. But Swerve is unbelievable.
I've been saying this for years.
that he used Riker to plant and do a moonsault to take out the other two Forgotten Sons. Fantastic.
Yes, as someone who has had Isaiah Swerve Scott leap onto you, I feel their pain. I know what they went through, and it's not fun. And that's why Isaiah Swerve Scott is one of my favorites in NXT.
I like that he was immediately put into this spot and then was able to it was like he's been there for so long. Like, I thought that was very interesting because it could have been a more well-known babyface,
Yeah.
But they just were like, oh, yeah, he's on the roster. We'll get him in there. He works well with you guys. It'll be fine. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for him.
Me too, dude. Me too. Yeah, and I love that boot to the back of the neck.
Yeah, the sell of it really makes that move.
He front flip bumped. It was great.
Yeah.
And it's great to see Breezango picking up a victory.
Yeah, I like that too. It was very good. We had Leo Rush come out and join the commentary table, which I thought was a very interesting choice. To commentate on the Angel Garza versus Gentleman Jack Gallagher match.
This was a fun match that started off really hot.
Super technical at the beginning.
Yeah, and then like Gallagher started to like, oh, I'm going to shake his arm while I have him in a wrist lock. And the one thing that I noticed was Garza increased his intensity after that. Like after Gallagher started like chain wrestling, he was just like, all right, now I need to focus.
And then Garza did his pants gimmick again.
Dude, I don't like the pants gimmick.
My favorite thing about the pants gimmick was Leo Rush's reaction to it, which was, this dude's got two pants? So
he probably legitimately didn't know that, and that was probably like a legit reaction.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why it was hilarious to me. Because I was like, what? Yeah, no, I really liked Leo on commentary most of the match.
Dude, how about that deadlift suplex by Gallagher?
Yes, that was unbelievable.
It blew my brain.
Because he just held on to a point where, like, I definitely did not think he should have been able to hold on to it for that much longer. And good on Garza for getting up and
and posting for it.
Yeah, because that had to be tough also.
Yeah. I want to see Jack Gallagher versus Cesaro.
Oh my God. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree about that. And then Jack hit that massive headbutt.
Yup.
Which is always a cool move.
Yeah, but then Garza kind of took advantage there and hit that moonsault that he calls the Sarah Delacia salt, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's the highest mountain in Monterrey, Mexico, where he's from.
That's right. That's what they said.
So
yes.
they got it over. I mean, I took note of it. So good on commentary for naming the move. Yeah, and after that, we got Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox, Team Kick, versus Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir.
We did.
After at least Duke and Shafir are doing like a decent job at keeping the heat on Dakota Kai.
Yeah, they did a really good job in this match. I was just going to say of isolating Kai for a really long time. Quick tags, double teams, tagging in and out, back and forth, really keeping her away from making the tag and letting Knox save the match for them. And then
eventually Dakota Kai got that hot tag, and Tegan Knox was like hitting choke slams, but they didn't look good to me.
Yeah, and they're very clear to point it out that she was a fan of Kane.
Yeah.
And that's why she does the choke slam.
She loves Kane.
But she, being a fan of Kane, would know that was his finish, not part of his comeback. So...
Well, I mean, she doesn't really get her opponents up, and that's partially on Duke and Shafir where they weren't getting up for her. But still, I think she should stop doing that because it looks silly when she does it.
It looks like a botched clothesline.
The match was way quicker than I originally anticipated it being. I was surprised how quick it was over.
She got her comeback in, and then it was pretty much over.
Yeah, it didn't really have any build. There wasn't any exciting payoffs within the match. Like, it was just really simple and straightforward. Mm-hmm. Could have been a lot better.
We found out that the winners of this match would face the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, the Kabuki Warriors, next week, which I thought was a very interesting development because we were promised that and then never got it.
Yeah, so finally we're getting the WWE Women's Championships delivered on NXT.
Kabuki Warriors promo, I thought, was fantastic.
Yes, they're really good at being super Japanese, but like angry Japanese and heelish Japanese. So we've seen Asuka in NXT as a heel cutting those kinds of promos, and they're always great. She always shows such emotion in them, even though you have no idea what she's saying.
Mm-hmm. You get it, though. We haven't really seen that much in that way from Kairi Sane, but I think in this promo she really delivered. I liked it.
Absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to that match next week. Asuka's also undefeated in NXT, so her returning
interesting.
Could put that in jeopardy.
Interesting. I didn't even think about that. I figured they would just kill that whole thought process, but I like that you're bringing it up.
Yeah, bringing it back.
Bringing it back.
If you're excited for Asuka's undefeated streak to return, let us know on Twitter, @RoyallyRumbled.
We got the main event, which is really the reason I tuned in to see the first match and the last match. Everything else in between was just gravy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not typically where you put gravy. The North American Championship match with the champion Roderick Strong defending against Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee.
Yeah, Keith Lee continually impressing me.
Bask in his glory. He's unbelievable.
I love that guy.
And they bill him at $340, which is crazy.
It's crazy considering the shit that he does.
Yeah. Yeah. And continues to do, and is not scared of, and is constantly doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many insane spots in this match.
Yeah, that superplex by Roderick Strong to Dijakovic was wild.
Mm-hmm. Dijakovic suplexing Lee onto Roddy, who was laying on the ground.
Oh.
I was terrified for that spot.
That could have had better contact, but yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, I was terrified for that spot, but when it landed, I was like, okay, they kind of missed.
Yeah.
But still such a cool idea.
Yeah, because it was like a senton.
And then the Spirit Bomb Superplex near disaster.
Oh, good Lord.
From the corner. Where just nobody was ready. And they went with it. Keith Lee almost fell out of the ring.
Oh, God.
On the impact.
I was so crazy. Scared. I was so scared.
Such a crazy spot.
That whole match was wild. And I love the fact that NXT lets like their heels work.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking if this match were on Raw, Roderick Strong would have either been like hiding under the ring or he would have like been taken out right in the very beginning of the match and not come back until the end.
Right.
But
it wouldn't have been a triple threat match.
No.
It would have been, they would have taken him out with a huge spot at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he would have laid on the outside, and Lee and Dijakovic would have killed each other for 35 minutes. And then all of a sudden, Roddy would have been on the top rope and just did like a splash and got a pin.
Yeah. Or like rolled somebody up.
Right. I loved on the outside of the ring, Dijakovic hit a feast your eyes. And then immediately upon landing, Lee ran into Roddy and sent him flying with a pounce. And it was in that moment that I remembered what I said last week about them teaming up together.
Yep. I thought the same thing.
And I was like, oh my God, that could be a finish. And they would destroy everyone.
And that was the point in the match that took Roddy out of the equation, essentially.
Yep.
But he fought his way back, and Keith Lee hit that giant spirit bomb off the top rope, which friggin' blew me away. And then out of nowhere comes Roderick Strong with that red hot kick.
Yeah.
Completely catching me off guard. But it looked like it broke his jaw, is how hard he kicked him.
The connection on that one did not miss. Did not miss. It was awesome.
It was a great way to end the match, in my personal opinion. The perfect way to end the match. And Keith Lee kind of rolled his shoulder there towards the end, right before the 3 count. So like, it didn't put him away, like knock him out.
Yeah,
like,
he was still trying.
Yeah, like Keith Lee looked strong with that finish because he was distracted from just lifting Dijakovic above his head and then slamming him to the mat, which also he took impact from because it was a sit-out powerbomb. But literally a second after that, he got a big boot to the face.
And then after the match, the Undisputed Era came out to celebrate with Roderick Strong, who's keeping the prophecy alive by retaining
all the gold in the corner of the Undisputed Era.
But somebody else has claim to the gold, as Tommaso Ciampa came out to stare down the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, continually building upon the previous 2 weeks since his return.
Yeah, so then he's joined by his former tag team partner, Johnny Gargano, in the middle of the ring.
Which we talked about in our episode a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
His DIY reuniting.
And then a returning Finn Balor came out to join them. However, but Balor decided he had an issue with Johnny Gargano more than he had an issue with anybody else. And Pele kicked him in the head and then proceeded to obliterate Johnny Wrestling on the outside.
Well, Undisputed Era, like, tore apart Tommaso Ciampa in the ring.
Yeah. And then Balor ended it with a 1916 on the ramp. And it looked like he was going to throw up the UE and join Undisputed Era, but he did not.
No. He threw up
He
the
decidedly
guns.
did not join Undisputed Era. And I don't understand people still wondering if he joined Undisputed Era, because he had every opportunity to make the hand gesture to tell you that he did.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
No. He's there for himself.
He did his pistols.
Yeah.
He was there for himself.
Yeah, he's set his sights on Johnny Gargano specifically because he did not attack Ciampa.
I think, it's probably more obvious than anything, but Johnny's the guy that's really been carrying the torch in NXT since Balor left NXT.
That's a fair assumption.
And I think Balor's come back not necessarily to be heel, but to take his spot back.
Yeah.
I'm the number one in NXT, not you. I think that's the center of that beef.
It's exactly that. He wants his top spot back. He wants it known that his past being the top of NXT is his future. And in order to do that and be beloved by everyone, he needs to take out the one who's literally beloved by everyone.
Yep. So I'm really interested to see at War Games. Hopefully it'll just be a straight up Johnny versus Balor match. And I know the fan...
It's everything I wanted. Everyone,
how are you going to root? How are you going to pick somebody to root for?
Dude, I don't know. And we're going to get to see the Demon as a heel. Yeah, I love it, though. I love that we're getting Balor and Gargano.
So overall, all things considered with this NXT show, all the matches, the segments, and what we got after the main event, we gave this show a B.
Hard to argue.
So, moving on to AEW Week 4.
And we kicked off the show right in the ring as Private Party and Lucha Brothers didn't even get an entrance.
Right away, we're in the ring. Match is about to start. We almost missed the beginning.
I thought it was so weird how they did that. They could have taken a minute after the post-match celebration just to give them entrances.
2 weeks ago, Private Party enters, and they have a hilarious entrance that immediately gets over with the bouncer pulling the velvet rope aside for them to come through. And then their next match, we've thrown it out the window. We couldn't get a bouncer. We don't have any stanchions.
Lucha Brothers must have forgotten their entrance masks.
Yeah. Yeah, the Lucha Brothers are just standing there in the regular attire. Maybe they left their masks where their Lucha Brother brand t-shirts were being shipped from. Yeah, they left their entrance attire at their warehouse, apparently, because my shirt just shipped and I ordered it like 2 weeks ago. Anywho.
I'm thinking, oh boy, they're starting us off hot. You know, they're getting us right into it. It was just a weird way to kick things off in the ring like that. No intro video, nothing. Just kind of showing up. And at first, the match was really sloppy.
Oh my god, dude. There were a lot of good spots and a lot of good sequences, but I think my biggest issue with this match is that Private Party, for whatever reason, did not, as they say, lay it in.
Yeah.
They very weak strikes, barely hitting. So I mean, obviously you can't adjust your speed or velocity on high flying maneuvers when you're in the air. So like all of those hit fine, I think. But there was a specific spot where they did like I don't know if it was a backbreaker, and then one of them did like a super kick to the guy's head, and it just was very, very weak.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't even look like he touched him. And unfortunately, the whichever Lucha Brother was receiving that impact, I don't think he even knew that the move happened to him. That's why he didn't sell it. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
It was like he was laying there and was like, okay, I'm supposed to get kicked. And like maybe it grazed his head and he didn't move because he didn't realize what was happening. Private Party going from that amazing match that they had with Young Bucks to this, where it was still good because it was flashy and exciting, but really the technical aspect of it was subpar on their behalf.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one thing that really annoyed me about this match was Penta. There was one point where he was just in the ring and Bryce was like yelling at him to get out for a good like minute.
Mm-hmm. It was very awkward.
There was not really any tag team psychology there.
No. Not throughout the whole match.
No. That's what I mean, like in the first half of the match, specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It was just everybody hitting their moves. There was barely any tags. And I'm pretty sure JR and Tony Schiavone like called that out.
Yeah, they didn't know who. There was a point where I don't think anybody knew in the ring who was supposed to be the legal guy. And Schiavone and JR were like, well, we don't even know. We can't keep track of this. It was just like a tornado tag match.
Yeah. Second half of the match definitely picked it back up.
Yeah.
They built it back up. It was like everything after the hot tag that wasn't an actual hot tag. It was like a lukewarm tag.
Was that the back handspring tag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't build that up like it was a hot tag at all. But everything after that, I think, was good. They built it back up, and then they just kept having big move after big move, and it like made sense from that point on. But that first half of the match, there was a disconnect for me.
No, I definitely agree.
And I loved Phoenix running across the ropes for that kick. I haven't seen that since Lucha Underground, so it was really refreshing to see him do it here.
That pile driver stomp combination is awesome.
It looks good every time.
Yep.
I mean, you can't really argue a pile driver, and the double stomp just kind of adds so much flair to it. So Lucha Brothers in the finals.
Which I'm excited about, because that's the right way to go, I think. I think they should win the whole thing, and yes, I'm a mark for them, but that's one group, that's one team that I've never seen anyone on wrestling Twitter be like, I don't really get them. You know? Because like you get your like 50-50 with everybody basically anymore. Half wrestling Twitter hates them, half wrestling Twitter loves them, that kind of thing. But I think with Lucha Brothers, I've never seen anybody be like, that Ray Phoenix guy doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, no, they're a believable team, and they have good chemistry with each other. So let's move on from that match to the other semi-final match in their tag team tournament.
Right away, right after it. I thought it would be later on.
Me too.
We just got the tournament out of the way, right out of the gate.
They're just like, oh, you like tag matches? Let's throw you another tag match. So we got SCU, Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, taking on the Dark Order, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. And I will be the first to say it here, Dark Order are the most interesting characters in this entire company.
Definitely.
Their music rules, their entrance rules, the creepers, awesome.
The forming of a human throne is really one of the creepy, coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah. And they deliver in the ring.
They do. This is the first time that I've actually watched a full Dark Order match.
Well, that's the problem,
I've
because
watched...
we're 4 weeks into TV and we're still being introduced to like characters who are relatively important.
Yeah. And I'll also say that I'm not familiar with Frankie Kazarian's work, other than you swearing to me that in TNA he was the best goddamn thing on the planet.
I didn't say that, but
You very much enjoyed him in TNA, and I did not watch TNA in that time frame. So I missed it. I had no idea. So it's really interesting to watch these guys now, all these people I don't know, and what they're capable of. And Kazarian's awesome, and Scorpio Sky is like way better than advertised, I feel like.
yeah. I think they're playing him up to be a much bigger deal, but he's like filling that role really well.
It seems to me that the team was supposed to be Daniels and Kazarian, and Sky was supposed to be the guy on his own, running for a singles championship.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's legit or if it's just part of the story, but they took Daniels out of the equation. So.
Yeah, which still sucks. I'm still really upset about it. But they said they had an update mid-match, and they said he would be back in 6 to 8 weeks, I believe. So that's at least something to look forward to. But at least we had a clear face heel dynamic in this match.
We did. It was very obvious who was who.
My only issue is that I still just hate that tags don't matter in a tag team match in AEW.
Oh, well, they give you, I don't know if you heard JR mention this.
I did.
You might have missed it, because it's a blink and you miss it moment. But you get 10 seconds to get to get out of the ring after you tag your partner.
Unless you're Pentagon Jr. and you stand in the ring for 1 minute and then immediately go into offense. That literally just happened maybe 15 minutes prior.
You get 10 seconds
Now we know.
to get out of the ring when you make a tag.
Maybe they didn't just decide until just then. JR's like, oh, I finally got a copy of the rule book here. It just sucks because the ref doesn't take control of a match when stuff like that happens. And they could say it until they're blue in the face, referee's discretion, whatever. But it just looks bad. Like, why would you let someone on the other team go across and prevent a tag, or just come in the ring and start beating down the legal man to where it's 2-on-1? Like,
I don't know. There were definitely some cool spots in this match.
yes.
I very much liked that Uno held the ropes open when somebody hit a rebound and they just flew out of the ring rather than hit the ropes to bounce back.
Yep.
I love that. The tope to Sky on the apron.
Oh.
You know, the one that Eddie Guerrero used to do. But he would stand on the apron and do it to in the ring. Stu Grayson stood in the ring and did it to the apron, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, you don't see someone doing something like that.
Kazarian hit that awesome springboard leg drop.
It's a thing of beauty.
It looked better than the last time I saw it, and the last time I saw it, it was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
He like literally defies gravity.
Yeah, he's really got his legs up there too. Like he's not. I hate to even say his name, but when I think leg drop, from an elevated distance, I think Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
And Matt Hardy definitely did not get his legs to his like chest level to do the leg drop. And Kazarian's like almost putting his legs over his head and forcing his legs downward.
Looks cool all the time. One thing that I didn't like was Chris Jericho coming out in the middle of the match and causing the distraction to the crowd.
Yeah, because it almost seemed like the guys in the ring didn't know that was supposed to happen.
Nope.
And I think I noticed Evil Uno kind of looking around like, what's going on?
Yeah.
While he's in the ring, like, mushing somebody's face with his forearm, just trying to, like, give himself some time to, like, see if there's some crazed person in the crowd doing something horrific, or, like, there was that much noise.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the crowd popped for him because they threw the spotlight on him and everything.
Yeah.
It was a distraction, and they completely missed the hot tag to Scorpio Sky.
Yep. It took away from the tag match in the ring, honestly.
Yeah, and that kind of killed this match for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They were building, and they were going to something, and then we had to stop.
But, I don't know. Friggin' Dark Order surprised the hell out of me. How about that electric chair powerbomb?
Dude. Amazing.
Like, I thought their finisher was really cool, and that should be a finisher, but, like, it's not. That's just, like, in their moveset.
Yep. Yeah, and then Stu Grayson hit that flip over the turnbuckle to the outside.
Dude.
Right?
I was like, what? Like, I did not expect that.
I liked it because he had caught, like, the clothesline on the opposite side, and he was whipped into the reverse corner. And instead of, like, hitting that corner, he just dove over the top. And the guy tailing him in the ring didn't know what to do. Like, I liked that.
Yeah.
Because it's a thing that, like, in a fight, you'd be like, oh, I have enough momentum, I could do that. I see him out there, I could take him out. And then the other guy in the ring just dealing with, the guy I was fighting isn't here anymore. I love that.
And the traditional wrestling spot is, like, you go to the corner, you go up and over, and you pop over him. And then, like, you rebound off the ropes and hit a clothesline or something simple like that. He was just like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah. He literally disappeared. It was great.
I think that was my favorite spot of the whole Wednesday night.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I liked it that much. It caught me off guard. And Kaz made that leaping DDT look really good.
Yes.
He hit the one in the ring and then hit the one on the apron.
Which led into the SCU later.
So I really liked this match, aside from the garbage decisions to send Jericho and the Inner Circle out there. But I still think Dark Order should have been in the finals here.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that because they won a bye in your tournament.
And then you didn't showcase them at all for 3 weeks.
And then they lost their first opportunity. You know, like, that's just weird.
Like
I feel like.
I get that they're going to try to build back up SCU versus Phoenix and Penta.
Yeah.
Because of the shit that went down last week. But, like, we didn't need any of that. I don't know.
I agree.
It's just...
I agree. Dark Order should have at least had another, like, they shouldn't have won the bye then.
Yeah. They should have just had a qualifying match.
Like, if anything, the Young Bucks should have been like, oh yeah, we're giving ourselves a bye.
Yeah. I mean, they are heels.
Because they're heels sometimes.
So, like, whatever.
And then, is this the point in the show where we got a picture-in-picture commercial break where we just watched the Inner Circle scream?
Oh, I didn't even get
nothing? That. No?
That was cut out of my replay, I guess.
Okay, so the match ended and we went to commercial, but it was picture-in-picture. So we got SCU celebrating and the Inner Circle booing and throwing popcorn and shaking bubbly bottles and stuff for that entire commercial break. And then Janela's entrance started in the commercial break.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So I was like, who is that? Like, I have no idea. And then it was him. And then later on in this match against Kenny Omega, like arguably your biggest top guy, they go to a hard commercial break in the midst of the match. And that would not be the first time that they do that in this show.
No.
They picture-in-picture things that don't matter and then cut away during matches and take away from the match. Because Janela and Omega was a good match.
Dude, it was a great match. Tons of fun.
And we got a hard commercial break that took away from all the momentum they were building toward in that match. Why would you picture-in-picture what doesn't matter? You know?
Yeah.
Like SCU celebrating and the Inner Circle celebrating? Cool. You know, whatever. We don't need to see that. The home crowd, the house crowd gets that.
Janela hits a gigantic high crossbody to the outside and then rolls him back into the ring and they start fighting again and then you cut to commercial. But at least that was cut from my replay, so that's interesting that they edited that.
If only there was another company that heavily edited their stuff and people hated them for it. Anyway. So like you said, this match was great.
Yeah, great. Janela did a whole bunch to impress me here. Kenny Omega, also really impressive. Like I said before, Janela hit that high crossbody to the outside. That crowd, like, ate it up.
Yeah, and then Kenny followed that up with 2 Snapdragon suplexes.
Yeah, and Janela sold for him. Like, really good. He went up to that second rope at one point and got pulled down and just, like, front bumped into the corner. And I was like, oof. And then later ate that running knee to the face, which also I said out loud, oof. And then he kicked out, which I was like, oh, shit. Janela hit that rebound German suplex.
And that Fisherman Buster.
Yup. And then they traded strikes, like big strikes. That was really cool.
And then Janela seemingly couldn't help himself but to take one incredibly risky bump in this match. And
I was thinking to myself, the apron bump in AEW is going to get really old really quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's happened every week at least once.
It happened every week at least once, dude. It was in the first 3 matches of this show. The apron bumped. So yeah, I mean, it looked brutal because he landed really nasty.
Yeah.
And then that was what set up for the V trigger into the one-winged angel.
Dude, that V trigger was gnarly.
It was.
I love the way he sold that.
It was, but that one-winged angel, man. I don't know that I've ever seen people react to a finishing maneuver that way since, like, the stunner.
It's a good move.
I'm not taking anything away from the move at all. I think it's a great move. It looks awesome. The emotional reaction to that move is shocking to me.
To be fair, we haven't seen it on AEW TV yet, so...
That's true. Okay. That's fair. I was just like, really? Like, I felt like people were like hugging their children and like wiping tears from their eyes.
That's an exaggeration. I did not get that at all. I was just like, oh, shit,
see
okay.
that, Timmy? He did the one-winged angel, and that move's going to deliver us from evil. So following what was a really good match, Tony Schiavone was set to interview Cody in the ring.
Again.
Cody had a special announcement to make.
Which we never got.
We never got it. Because Cody became immediately distracted by air horns and Jericho, who bought a ticket to the show and was not there as a performer, but was given a microphone.
The champion bought a ticket to the show.
Bought a ticket to the show and was given a microphone because they give fans microphones all the time.
Oh, you just have access to one in those boxes.
Oh, that's right. You know, I've never paid top dollar for one of those booths, so I can't say for sure that there isn't already a microphone hooked up to the entire system in there.
But basically, he egged him on and then called him up, and one at a time, he got Dustin to come out and help him. He got MJF to come out and help him.
Who's a huge babyface.
Yeah,
might be the biggest babyface in the company next to Cody.
Apparently.
And then the biggest reaction of the night for anybody ever.
Pop of the night. We got It's Me, DDP.
And they rushed the box that Jericho was in, and Jericho and the Inner Circle retreated to a locked room, and Cody used MJF's scarf and busted the window to get Jericho out of there.
Which that was a really cool moment, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that played really well on television.
It did. No, and I mean that was like the clip of the night for the show. Coming out of this episode was I saw that 100 times this morning before I got to watch the thing.
But we got a really sloppy brawl in the back. And security kind of rushed in, and instead of pulling apart the brawl, they just pulled me out of the segment because they were like barely trying to stop him. Literally, none of them were even trying to hold either of them back. Watch the clip of the Dippin' Dots part, and
I know.
Like, how could you argue that with me?
No, I'm not.
Cody, please, no.
Chaos ensued.
That's assault, brother.
And then, in the picture-in-picture commercial, where we got to watch Jericho painstakingly attempt to lick the back of his ticket and stick it to his forehead.
Wait, we got another one?
Yes.
That was edited out too.
Yes. Jericho was desperately trying to get his ticket to stick to his forehead, and it did not work until as soon as it was about to end. And they basically was just the 4 guys on either side yelling at each other and then being dispersed. And in the picture-in-picture commercial, the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy made their entrance. They were almost entirely in the ring, and then the Young Bucks came out, and that's when we came back to the show.
Ay.
Yeah. Very interesting decisions, to say the least. But then we got the consolation round, Young Bucks versus Best Friends.
Another tag team match.
Yeah.
To their detriment, in my opinion.
I think that's three
in a row.
Tag matches a show for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It might even be 3 weeks in a row, because I know there was that women's tag match in the second week.
Yeah.
So a lot of tag team stuff.
A lot of tag team stuff, but not really good tag team wrestling.
This match had a lot going for it too, because all four of these guys are good, and we finally got to see what Orange Cassidy does on television.
Yeah, that was cool. I love seeing Orange Cassidy. I like the way that they started it. I loved the bit that they did with the super kicks. And it was a good way to take him off the board for most of the match, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know where I fall on him on TV. I think it's a funny gimmick for indies. I don't know for television how you're gonna explain it.
I mean, I think everything so far about him has been positive.
Yeah, no, I'm not running him down necessarily. I've laughed at the stuff that I've seen with him. I think there was that spot. There was a video a while back of him being put to sleep in the match. Yeah. That was hilarious. But to see it on TV, I don't know if that goes over the same way. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know why in my head there's a difference between the two.
I think, for me anyway, I think because I've worked with him previously and he's friends with a lot of my friends, I've kind of got a slight bias towards him.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
I have a slight negative bias towards him because he's friends with my friends.
But no, I'm just oh, Orange Cassidy's there. He's doing his thing. I love it. So one of the biggest spots that got pretty much the most reaction from this whole match was the Young Bucks hitting the hug in the ring.
Yes.
Like Keith said that they did in his fantasy booking.
Yep. Which is interesting that you mentioned that. Anyway.
It's almost like we have some sort of announcement regarding that at the end of our episode.
That's stupid. That's stupid. Don't listen to him. Anyway, stay tuned for our announcement at the end of the episode. I liked when the Young Bucks did the hug, that the camera did the same movement.
Yes.
That to me is very important, that they present, if somebody's going to do a best friend's hug, that they present it the same exact way.
Yeah. Because then you're like, oh, they do that. That's their thing. They stole their taunt in the video game. They held the one button down and then pressed Y or whatever.
Whatever it is now. I mean, you probably have to hit 6 buttons to do it.
How about that Doomsday knee on the outside?
Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Chuck Taylor hitting the Falcon Arrow.
Massive.
After one of the Young Bucks kicked out of it, Chuck Taylor also shouting, "Nobody kicks out of the Falcon Arrow."
Yes.
That made me laugh out loud in real life.
Yes. Yes. And it would have been funnier had the announcers not stolen the thunder for that.
Yeah.
Because it might have been Excalibur.
I think it was JR.
Nobody kicks out of the Falcon Arrow. And I was like, yeah, he's trying to say that. That's what he wanted to say. That it's funnier from him.
Yeah.
From you, it's analysis. From him, it's hilarious.
Yeah. More bang for your buck from the Young Bucks, to which they put the best friends away with.
Yeah, they just hit a greatest hits of what you and your friends would do on the trampoline if you had a trampoline. Just every move in a quick sequence that led to the end of the match.
Yeah. I like that they're deciding falls utilizing their moveset. Like, it's not just, oh, he's kicking out of the Blue Thunder Bomb every single time. You know, like they're showing, oh, well, this isn't their finisher, but it still won them the match.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, it was a solid match. I liked it a lot.
So leading out of that match, we got Jamie Hayter making her AEW debut against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Yeah, right before this match started, there was a Britt Baker video package that had to mention where she started to where she is now, which is typical of most introductory video packages that you get in wrestling. But for some reason, the internet is very mad that they keep mentioning that Britt Baker's a dentist. And it doesn't bother me that they mention it, because if I got a doctorate in something and you didn't mention it every time I talk to you, I'd probably hate you. So I would imagine that she's like, make sure they know I'm an actual dentist. And I could get that it's like a little bit overkill.
I think it's overkill.
But everybody who's complaining about it cannot, out of one half of their mouth, say, I really hate that they keep mentioning that Britt Baker's a dentist. It's so annoying. I hate that they're doing this. And then out of the other side of their mouth say, AEW has the best presentation of all wrestling, and I love everything that they do. Because
Which there's a lot of those opinions.
Right. So if you're saying both of those things and not recognizing how they don't go together, because you're either lying to yourself about one of them or you don't realize that you're contradicting yourself. Just want to throw that out there.
What a conundrum.
What a conundrum for you, not for me. Britt Baker is the most marketable women's wrestler that they have on their roster. Why wouldn't they put stock into her to help get her over any way that they can?
Yeah.
And the video package was fantastic.
I agree.
It's interesting that people would complain about the video packages when, for the last 3 weeks, every time AEW's run a video package, all I've heard about is how this is how you do video packages. JD from NY 206. Just throwing that out there.
If there's one thing that I could never hate on WWE for, it's their video packages.
It's their video packages. And AEW is doing a great job of I wish there were more of them, because they're still introducing people that the quote-unquote normies would have never heard of before.
Yeah.
I think you need more video packages. But the ones that we've gotten, the one with Cody, the Dark Order one earlier in the night, and then the Britt Baker one, they're all fantastically produced video packages.
In their own different ways.
Yeah, because they're not the same. They're all doing different things for the characters. And Britt Baker's was to tell you who this woman was before she was Britt Baker wrestler.
And like the sheer amount of dedication and time and energy and focus that it takes to go to medical school. Like they're showing that she's determined, that she's focused, you know, that she's not going to let anything just stop her from achieving what she wants to achieve.
And considering that the company's brand new, they don't have history in any of the arenas that they've been in yet every week.
Yeah.
So I don't fault, I believe it was Excalibur, trying to make a connection from the building that they were in on Pittsburgh University's campus to Britt Baker having studied for a medical degree at Pittsburgh University.
Yeah.
That's a natural thing to have to talk about.
I thought the match was good. It was probably the best women's match that AEW has had, which I've seen a lot of people talking about.
Yeah. The AEW women's division had a huge hot start.
Hayter hit that big suplex in the corner, which was really cool.
Yes.
And she hit that superplex, which was cool because her legs were on the inside of the ropes. Britt Baker like flipped her, so they were at like an angle.
Yeah.
Instead of pressing her legs on the outside of the ropes, they were
See,
on the
I put it
inside.
down as a super brain buster.
Yeah, I think that's what they called it, actually. So that makes sense. And then Jamie hit that Uranagi, but on her knee.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, that was brutal. I want to see more from Jamie Hayter, but we got Britt Baker locking in Lockjaw, and it was a good way to finish the match.
Yeah, and I like that. It seems right now like they're protecting Lockjaw.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're
definitely.
making that. It's going to be huge for somebody to get out of it, I believe.
So then we went on from that to Pac versus John Moxley, which was
Main
the main
event
event.
time.
This surprised me that this was picked initially for the main event, but after we got the finish, I understand why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they went to a time limit draw in a very awkward fashion. But I did not enjoy this match. And here's
Really?
why. Pac ran out and hit John Moxley in the back of the head with a steel chair.
He did?
In the back of the head. And then proceeded to take his jacket and choke him out with it. And then they went on to have a full 20-minute match where John Moxley fired up and made a comeback, and then they were just hitting each other with moves. You literally
It's almost as
forgot.
if he didn't hit him with the chair at the beginning.
Yeah. I was literally going to say, like, Moxley, after he fired up, you'd swear he never got hit in the back of the head or choked out before that started.
Yep.
And
well, I think
just,
that's just part of his because he's crazy, if you remember correctly.
I'm face palming right now.
He's crazy.
I mean, I'm all about, like, let's build back up, you know, like I'm on the disadvantage, but this was like, come on. Pac was completely dismantling Moxley at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the way it played out. Moxley literally looked like he was asleep at one point. But then later on the end of the match, he's hitting like a black hole slam.
Yep.
The friggin' Falcon Arrow off the top, which was nuts.
Yeah, it looked pretty brutal, that move. Not gonna lie, that was rough.
And how about Pac hitting that friggin' 450 to the
From
floor?
the apron to the floor.
Apron.
Brutal. So I kind of liked the counting down of it. And it's good that they've waited this long to get to a point where they do that, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But I liked because it like you said, the match started off in a way that you didn't necessarily like, and I was kind of out of it on at that point. But when we're counting down, when I hear 5 minutes remaining, I'm like, okay, are they gonna turn this into like an ending sequence or what?
Yeah.
And then they announced 1 minute remaining, and I was like, oh, we're still not there yet.
And I liked how they increased their momentum and movement when they were like, there's 1 minute remaining.
I loved that Moxley shot the half and tried to get the pin within 10 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
And then Pac at the last minute got the shoulder up. Well, the last second, technically, got the shoulder up, and then it counted out.
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that was really interesting. It's not something that you see, quote unquote, from the other company often.
No.
So it was different. It was a different finish, and I liked it for that.
I wasn't necessarily against the finish per se. I didn't like the setup for the match and progress. Yeah. If they just started and had a match, it would my opinion would be totally different.
Yeah, because it wouldn't. They really made what happened at the beginning of it not matter.
Yeah, and I hate that.
But I was talking with somebody who's a very big AEW fan who's been to several of their pay-per-view events over the summer, leading up to and before the summer, and before the show actually kicked off. And then actually went and saw it in person, I think when they were in Philly, which was last week.
Yeah.
Friend
of the
podcast. And he asked me if I think AEW's written themselves into a corner with the win-loss records, because now you're going to have to protect some of your top guys who you don't want to give losses to, but you have to have them face off against one another. It's a very interesting thought. It's not something that I even considered leading up to it. And then as you see this show play out, he's kind of right?
Yeah, absolutely. The way that they have had screwy finishes for the most part, between Darby Allin getting pushed off the top rope and punched in the face,
yep,
to the cluster that was that brawl, pull-apart brawl at the end of episode 1.
Yep.
You know, like, and now this, it's like, okay, we're not getting clean, decisive victories.
Right, and that's detrimental to the believability of the characters that you're trying to build up with the win-loss records.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thought.
And then also, after this was over, even though the referee didn't make it a specific time limit match, like it wasn't his decision.
Yeah,
that the match ended in a time limit draw is what they called it. I'm sorry, I didn't want to say no contest. Moxley attacked the referee, and then the show went off the air because he's crazy.
God damn it!
I'm so glad I get to say that again. He's crazy. Watch out.
I think it would have been
unscripted violence.
I think it would have been better had they done the TV time remaining gimmick and then literally cut the feed out 15 to 20 seconds after the bell rung, because they lingered on it for like a full 2 minutes, and it was like, was the TV time actually expired, or are we just watching to see the weird beatdown?
I thought it would have been even better if he made that pin attempt, Pac kicked out, they attempted, like the time would run out, and then JR's like, sorry folks, that's all the time we got, and Moxley's about to attack the referee, and then it goes off the air.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But we
like barely even giving him a chance to stand up while it was on TV.
Yeah.
You know, like fading out as he's lifting himself up and approaching the referee, that kind of thing.
Because you could put that if you want that content out, you could put that out on Twitter. You could put that out on Facebook. You could put that out on YouTube.
Well, you know AEW Dark. You know about AEW Dark? Did you see they talked about AEW Dark? Kenny's entrance had AEW Dark on it.
Dude, I know. I thought it was legit a dark match that they were just re-airing.
I thought they were showing us a clip from the match they were talking about.
I was like, wait, what is happening right now?
It didn't even say Dynamite. It said Dark on it. I was like, what is happening?
All of that considered, the matches, the promos, the video packages, the ending, we decided to go ahead and give AEW a C, which means NXT won the crown for this week. Yet again, 2 weeks in a row now. NXT is up 3-1.
So far, I mean, I just feel it's like some of the, obviously we've rated some of them bad or some of them not good, but a lot of the time the AEW matches are good, but then there's something weird about them, you know?
Yeah. From a logic standpoint.
Right. Or just like something's immediately off from the beginning and you're not exactly sure what to make of it. I mean, I get why people like it. You know, I like it. I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, I like it. Like, C is not a bad grade.
Yeah, and I wanted to explain that too really quick. C is not a bad grade because we have yet to give an A.
To anything.
To anything so far. Nothing has received an A. None of the matches, none of the shows, nothing's gotten an A. And
nothing's gotten an F either from us.
No. To be fair, nothing's been so bad that it's an F, but nothing's been insane level to the point where you can't even think about anything else. That's been an A. Some of the shows have some filler content in them, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think you're going to get that because if you have a 2-hour show to fill every single week and you don't want to overexpose your roster, you're going to have filler stuff.
So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But as you said, we've got NXT through 4 weeks with 3 wins, AEW through 4 weeks with 1 win. And I guess this is a good time, as good a time as ever, to announce our plans for next week.
So next week's episode will not be a Battle for the Crown episode. We will release our AEW and NXT reviews on social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and we will post the results for who wins the crown next week on there.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that we're not releasing an episode.
Correct. What are we doing in its place?
In its place, we will be finally releasing the Omega Luke Fantasy Booking Championship match between ourselves and Keith the Chief. And we finally will get to hear Omega Luke's reaction and winner of that match.
Yeah, so on our feed, you will get the Omega Luke Fantasy Booking Championship matchup.
We're going to play the bookings back to back, and then you'll get Luke's response.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for everybody to hear this. The stipulation for the booking was to book an AEW tag team in a feud. So that is what both us and Keith the Chief did, and Omega Luke decided who takes home the title.
Yeah, and also at the end of next week's episode, we will have an update regarding the future of fantasy booking for you.
Yeah, so make sure that you're following us on all of the social medias so you get our ratings for next week's AEW versus NXT Battle for the Crown and the Fantasy Booking Championship matchup.
And if you'd be so kind, you could follow us both individually on social media. I, Jordan, can be found on Instagram and Twitter at JL24FPS.
And I am on Instagram and Twitter at Yesball.
So once again, thank you guys so much for listening. So for Royally Rumbled, I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
We'll see you again next week for the Fantasy Booking Championship match.